Hi all, this is Jaldeep. I am the Global Director of Business Development at Binary Republic. Thank you for taking out your time to connect with us over the webinar today. We will be having the series of webinar and this is just one of it. Let me briefly introduce you with our organization, Binary Republic. We started working on SharePoint and over the period of time, we have evolved with Microsoft's vision of expanding on Office 365, Azure, Dynamics 365, and we have been also extensively working on the Power Platform, which includes Power BI, Power Automate, and Power Apps. Our major business comes from North America, Europe, and Australian market. As far as our vertical experience goes, we have worked for most of the verticals, either it's pharma, healthcare, financials, government agencies, etc. Currently, we have a team of 65 Microsoft experts, which includes architects, project managers, developers, UI experts, and QA resources. So basically, we have been like settled in India, and we are into offshore consulting company, and we work on Microsoft technologies. So this is the crux of our introduction. I would like to introduce our speaker, Dhruvin. It's a pleasure to introduce Dhruvin. He's an asset to us. He is our lead developer and is quite popular on social media, since he conducts various webinars on different topics. He has a great subject matter expertise on Microsoft Power Platform and Office 365. He will be taking us through the presentation on power of AI in Power Apps, which is today's topic. So it's a pleasure to welcome Dhruvin to take this forward. Please, Dhruvin.
All right. Thank you so much, Jaldeep. All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. From wherever you are, I welcome you all for your time to attending this session. So let me get started with our today's topic, which is power of AI in Power Apps. So during this entire session, we are going to cover this many of items. So let me just give you an overview what we are going to cover during next 50 minutes throughout the session. So first of all, we will get started with the introduction of AI, in which I will just give you a very little bit of introduction, what is AI and how it makes our life more easier. And then we will just take a little bit overview about Power Platform AI Builder. And then we can start with real life use case and scenarios. In Power Platform, AI Builder provides such a flexibility where we can automate so many business cases. So we are going to discuss each business cases in detail. So first, we will start with the object detection capability with real life use case and scenario. Then we will start with the scanning and processing our business form with the help of form processing AI model. After we complete the form processing, we will start with the prediction AI model, and there I will go get back to you the overview about what is prediction and how it suits best for our organization. Then we will take a real life example of text classification or category classification with sentiment analysis in detail. So we will check all the information with the help of examples and demos. And at last, we will cover entity extraction AI model with the Power Apps. So now let me get started with introduction about AI. So we all have heard about AI. AI refers to artificial intelligence. Now, AI refers to simulation of human intelligence in application that we are building. So basically, it works like a human brain, which is trained in such a manner which performs some task in automated way without any human interaction. Now, what do we mean by human intelligence? So as a human, we have a capability to identify objects, read handwritings, extract useful information from the provided data. So these are called as human intelligence. And with the help of AI, we will convert that human intelligence to our business application. And now, in order to work with AI specifically in Power Platform, we need to understand about the AI builder available in Power Platform. So let me give you some little introduction about AI builder and how we can use that with our business applications. So first of all, AI Builder is a Microsoft Power Platform capability which can use to improve our business performance by automating processes and predicting outcomes. So it's a solution which provides us point and click experience. We don't need any coding skill in order to develop this AI Builder model. Now, this is the little theoretical introduction. Now let me move over to the actual AI Builder and let me explain you which type of facility it provides to us. So let me move over to web.powerapps.com. So this is our Power Platform Power Apps homepage, and if we go here, we have AI Builder section over here. Now here, if we go to the build section, we have different kind of available models over here. Now here we have two different type of models available. One is out of the box model and second one is custom model. So as we can see here in build section, we have this custom models, which are category classification, entity extraction, form processing, object detection and prediction. We are going to cover each individual custom model in detail in order to achieve our business requirement. With that, it also provides some out-of-the-box model in which we don't need to train the model. They are the out-of-the-box model which we can easily configure with the help of Power Apps or Power Automate. So which are this out-of-the-box element? Let me just give you a brief about it. So first is business card reader, so which will automatically process the business card information. Then category classification. So here it's already trained category classification model, and here also we have category classification. The only difference is that this is our own customized trained model according to our business requirement, while this is the generalized trained model. Then entity extraction and key phrase extraction. We have out of the box language detection, receipt processing, sentiment analysis, text recognition, and text translation model. So these are the model which is provided out in out of the box manner, which can be easily plug and play with our Power Apps or Power Automate. Now let's get started with the custom AI model in detail. And let me get started first with object detection. So let me just open my presentation deck again and give you the idea about it. All right. So we have talked about this thing. We talked about custom AI model and pre-built AI model. In custom AI model, we have seen these models available, and in pre-built model, we have these 9 models available. Now, let's get started with our first custom model, which is object detection AI model. Now, if we just read the basic introduction, what it will do is, it will recognize and count the things from the images. It is self-explanatory here. So basically it detects the image and find the what's inside there into the image. Now, in which scenario we can use this object detection? I'm talking about real life use cases. So let me first talk about an example of any manufacturing unit. So in any manufacturing unit have some complex machinery in place. Like at a time, sometime what happen here is some machinery occurs some fault and technician goes to repair those machinery. At that time, maybe there is a possibility that technician not aware about every single part of the machinery. So what we can do is, with the help of object detection, we can build and train our model in such a manner that whenever a technician scan any object, and it will give desired information about that particular object. So it can be in any form. It can be in form of document, or it can be any form of documentation. So this type of requirement we can achieve with the help of object detection. If I extend this example, let's say for an example, if any technician came to the on-site repairing, now at that time, let's say they need to change the printer cartridge. Now they don't know which specific printage cartridge they need to change. So at that time, they will just scan that object, and they can check the stock as well as price information from their inventory as well. So he will get up-to-date information about that inventory by just scanning the object, right? Now, second example, if you consider any pharma or medical organization. With the help of object detection, we can scan the X-ray reports for with our application. Like, let me show you one simple example. Like, let's say here I have two different scan reports. First is for normal user and second one is the user with the flu infection. So you can see here the difference. So for a normal user, chest report is absolutely looking clear to us. It's clearly visible to us. Now here you can see that lots of white part is available here, which means that user is infected with flu. So with the help of object detection, we can perform the initial scan over here. Now let me move over to the demo part and show you this thing in detail. Okay, so this is one sample power apps that we have built here. Now let's say whenever I'm clicking on detect button, I just need to provide image over here. Let's say for an example, I am uploading any normal image of scan report. Let it to be uploaded. So basically in behind the screen, it will check the images against our trained model. And you can see that it has detected this as a normal, right? And it also show its accuracy over here. Now, let's say for an example, if the report is marked as normal, it just provides some basic information related it, like it seems like the report is normal and just provide some basic recommendation. Now, let's check some other example. Let me just check with one flu. So let's say I'm uploading any of the image like this. So here we can see that it detect that as a flu and we can see that its accuracy. Now whenever the user click on analysis, it will just provide us them instruction like it seems that you need to take care of yourself. There are symptoms of flu. Please consult a doctor ASAP. So this type of basic scanning we can do with the help of object detection in real life scenario. Now let me move over with the second example of object detection. So let's say for an example, this is another power apps that we have built to demonstrate that example. Let's say for an example, I talked about some machinery example. Similar type of example I achieved with the help of some basic object available around the home site. So let me just upload any of the image over here. Let's say for an example, I am uploading my desk image. This is the real photographic image and I have trained my model with the different items, right? Now here you can see that each individual information detected here perfectly. Like you can see that it detected my laptop screen, right? It detected my telephone, it detected my mouse, right? Basically these things are detected from my model. Now let's say they want to check like which are the available brands for any of this detected object in the inventory available. So let's say I'm clicking on laptop. So basically it will show me its price as well as its available brand in their inventory. So this type of thing we can easily achieve with the help of object detection. Now this is something which I have shown with the help of web power apps. Now let me show you one video which I have recorded, like how with the real mobile application we can achieve this requirement. So let me show you so we will get better idea, because connecting a mobile with this particular thing is not possible. So I'm showing that. Let's say for an example, here you can see that mobile recording of particular application. So basically I'm opening my power apps application over here and I'm clicking on object detector. Now you can see that here also we have a facility to scan the object. So here we have two options, camera and file upload. So I'm just scanning that with the help of my camera. So it's capturing with the live camera over here. It captures this photo. Now it's uploaded and processed this thing. And you can see that it has been processed successfully. It detects exact same information we can see on the web. And same way, the user can check the detailed information from their mobile. So this is how the scan processor will work with the mobile layout as well, right? So now this is all about the object detection. So we completed our first custom object model. Now let me move over to my presentation deck and let's get started with our second model. So now we will talk about our second customization model, which is form processing. So let me explain you what is form processing and how it is useful in our day-to-day scenario. So here, the out-of-the-box instruction is provided in such a manner that read and save information from standard document. So basically, it clearly states that it basically used to scan the document and it will detect the information from it. Now, let me give you the overall idea about form processing. Form processing allows us to read and save information from standard documents such as invoices or text documents. When we automate this process, we can save our valuable time by reviewing, extracting, organizing, and saving the data automatically by using Power Automate and Power Apps. So basically what happened here is in actual scenario, like sometime let's consider an example of one of the invoice approval process. For any organization, let's say if we submit any invoice, actually at that time admin need to enter manual operation inside the list where they want to store the information. So with the help of invoice approval processing system or form processing AI model, this work becomes so easy. Like here what the user need to do is they just need to scan their form. It will pre-populate all the fields based on the scan data. Once the fields has been pre-populated, we can easily store in our SharePoint list or any other data source where we wish to have. Once we have the data available, we can perform any approval process over there, right? Now, this is one example of basic invoice processing. Now, in which other scenarios we can use this same concept? Let me show you. Let's say if we want to process some rent receipts, we can easily scan with the help of form processing. Let's say for any organization, HR interviews are conducted. At that time, most of the time, what happen here is candidates are filling the manual form. They have filling with the handwritten form. So it also detects the handwritten text in very easy manner, and we can automatically detect that field and store the information to our list. Then let's say for any business inquiry, if we have received some form, we can scan with the help of form processing. So these are just some basic example of different verticals, but we can use wherever we need to use the scanning processes and it detects the field properly. Now let me show you some real life demo over here. So let me move over to one of the Power Apps that we build here. So let's say for an example, you can see that this is my form. Right now, no one value has been added over here. Now, what will happen here is whenever I upload any form over to this object, what happen here is it will process that form automatically and it will automatically pre-populate all the fields here, as well as it will show particular line items as well. And when we save the information, we are able to store those data to our SharePoint list. So now let me scan our form over here. So I'm clicking on Analyze. Let me upload one of the invoice form here. So it is being trained, right? Now the scanning has been performed perfectly here. Now you can see that it detected, it highlighted all the detected information from this invoice. Like you can see that here we have ship to address, bill to address. Here all the line items are there. Here invoice number is there, due date, balance due, subtotal, text, shipping and total information is there. All the information has been detected perfectly here, and it is also showing its accuracy as well. So we can see that most of the information detected with higher accuracy over here. Now here there are two ways. Like at this moment, what I have done is I've shown all the information into this pre-populated information. So in any case, if we want to modify few information before saving, we can do it using here. Right now, let's say this information has been detected, and whenever I click on save, it will store this information to my SharePoint list. So these are my SharePoint list where I'm storing invoice data and its line item data. Right now, before I proceed further, let me explain some more use cases over here. So let's say at this moment, whenever I'm scanning this form, I'm pre-populating the information into this SharePoint form and storing the information into the list. But you can also automate add one more step of automation here. Like we can just scan this basic document, and with the help of Power Automate, we can automatically detect this field without having that form and store all the information inside SharePoint list. We can also achieve this thing. Like right now, let me save this data and let's check the information in the list. So I just click on save here. So it's saved, like form has been submitted successfully here. Now let me move over to the SharePoint list, and you can see here our entry has been done perfectly, and also all the line items with the proper information has been stored automatically here. Now one more step of automation, like let's say for an example, I want to perform some approval process. So on item creation of these invoices, we can trigger some flow with the basic approval processes. Like whenever we can use like basic email notification approval, like whenever the approver will approve, only at that time this invoice is considered as approved for billing. Right? So this type of scenario we can easily achieve with the help of form processing. So we covered our second custom AI model, that was form processing. Now we will move forward with our third custom model, which is prediction AI model. So let me share my PowerPoint presentation again, and let me just give you idea about what is prediction and how we can use that in our real life day-to-day scenarios and use cases. So whenever we see prediction icon here, it shows this instruction like predict whether something will happen. Right now, in simple word, what is meaning of prediction? In simple word, predict means to forecast or to guess something. Sometimes, let's consider one example. Suppose in our organization, we have some historical data which may follow some patterns. And based on the historical data, we want to predict some future outcomes. At that time, this prediction model will help us a lot. So how this prediction model work? Let me give you a little bit idea about that. So basically, what we need to do in AI Builder, we just need to upload our historical data. Based on the historical pattern or yes/no pattern from the historical data, it automatically detects some pattern and train its model. Once our model has been trained, we can predict the outcomes that we wish to have. Now in prediction, there are different types of prediction. Now here few more minutes, like 2 to 3 minutes, we have some theoretical portion, like which type of prediction we can perform. So in prediction, we have three types: binary prediction, multiple outcome prediction, and numeric prediction. Now let me talk about each individual prediction and its use case, so that we can understand, like in which scenario we can use which type of prediction over that. So let me get started with our first prediction model, which is binary prediction. So what will we mean by binary prediction? When we ask any question and it only has two possible answers, at that time binary prediction suits for our model. Let's say for an example, if my answer is in form of yes, no, or in form of true, false, on time, late time, go, not to go, this type of my answer is in such a manner, at that time we can use this model. Now let me just give you idea about some of the examples. Like let's say for an example, we want to check like if the applicant is eligible for the premium club membership or not. At that time we can use this binary prediction model. It has only two answers: yes, he is eligible, or he is not eligible. Now let's say I want to check some fraud transaction from my data. At that time also I can use this binary prediction. Right. Now let's say I want to check like whether a candidate is a good social media or marketing campaign or not. So this is example of hiring process. Let's say we have already some historical pattern based on our past experience, like, and based on that it will predict that information. Then if a person is likely to pay their EMI on time or not. So this type of scenarios is considered in form of binary prediction, which has only two answers, either yes or no, right? Now, how this model is work? Let me give you some idea on that. So let's say, for an example, if we consider this example, like if a person is likely to pay their EMI on time or not. So let's say any bank example, or let's say any finance organization who is providing some loans. So when they are providing the loans, they have some historical data. They are storing some information like the person's monthly salary, their past loan records, their CIBIL score, their number of family members, and based on that they are considering they have some outcome in the past. Like let's say, for an example, if the person has this amount of monthly salary and he has a very good record of past loans, then definitely he will be able to pay the EMI on time. So this type of pattern has been observed in the data sets, and we are using those historical pattern to predict. So whenever a new person is came for loan, and we just fill some basic information, and based on the current information it will compare the previous record, past records, and based on that it will predict some prediction of our answer, right? So this type of thing we can achieve with the help of binary prediction. Now let's talk about second part of prediction, which is multiple outcome prediction. Now, what do we mean by multiple outcome prediction? So let's say, for an example, if my question has more than two answers, like let's say, let's consider an example of any logistics, and they have performed some delivery. So there is a possibility that product will deliver early or on time or late or very late. So this type of, when you need this type of outcome from your historical pattern, we can go with the multiple outcome prediction. Now, the third part of prediction is numeric prediction. Now, in some of the cases, we need numeric prediction. At that time, we can use this numeric prediction for our model. So let's say, for an example, I want to check like how many days for a product or shipment to arrive. So let's say in past we have recorded some data like their start date, end date, their supplier, every information is recorded, and based on the past pattern I want to predict the current outcome. Like I want to just assume like what is the minimum time that will require to shipment for arriving. This type of scenarios we can help with the numeric prediction. Now let's say, for an example, any organization is conducting interviews every day, and they have some past record, like in a day they are conducting 10 interviews, or in some scenarios like whenever there is any project came into pipeline, at that time hiring process would become more faster and the number of interviews per day will be increasing. This type of pattern has been observed in our past record, and based on that we can predict like how many interviews on a specific month or specific quarter may organization need to conduct. Then let's say, for an example, we need to check like most of the time during festival time, mostly shopkeepers need to increase their stock. They need to keep update their inventory. So this type of prediction we can perform with the help of this model. Now let's say we have some historical pattern about BD team, like every quarter they are capturing some leads, and based on that we can predict like in next quarter what would be the how many leads maybe BD team can capture. So that is totally depend on the pattern. Now let's consider one of the real use case here. So now we proceed, a theoretical part has completed, and now we will go with one example. So let's say, for an example, there is one consumer store, right? Now they have collected a data for last 1 year. Now what are the data? Like they want to predict like what is the possibility that maximum number of people will go for a shopping on a specific date. So let's say they are considering, they are capturing the data in such a shape. Like, let's say for an example, this is per day data, and they are capturing that based on different parameters, like what was the day on the specific date, like it's a holiday or a weekday or a working day. So based on that, they have predicted like whether the person, like maximum number of people will come for a shopping or not, or like 60% of people will come for a shopping or not. This type of prediction we wanted to perform, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm moving to the browser, and I'm showing you with the help of very simple example how it works. So basically I just take an example of this type of spreadsheet. We trained our model based on the past record. Now consider this application. Now let's say for an example I want to predict, let's say this is my date. I just want to predict in August, any of the August month. Let's say if I'm selecting 6th of August, and I just wanted to check like what would be the probability that the people are going for shopping. So whenever I'm clicking on that, it will show me some messages like what is the possibility that maximum number of people go for a shopping or not. So here you can see that we can see it predicts like less number of people will go for shopping. The reason what happened here is you can see that it's a Thursday, it's a weekday, and they have observed some historical pattern in the data that during weekdays less number of people are going for shopping. So it detected data according to that. Now let's say for an example, if I am clicking on any weekends like this and I'm just adding, so what would be the probability? So we can see that it predicts like maximum number of people will go for shopping during the weekends. Now let's say I'm selecting any of the weekdays, and let's say for this year it's considered as a public holiday, and I want to check what's the possibility over here. So though it's a weekday, but still it's a public holiday, so definitely there would be a chance that maximum number of people will go for a shopping. Now let's say for an example, if I'm selecting any of the Friday, like let's select current date, so it's Friday, we all are in the weekend mood. So there is a possibility that most of the people of the office take a leave and go for a shopping. So there is around 60% chance that more number of people are go for shopping. So basically this prediction is based on the historical data and the data that we have trained in our model. Based on that, it predicts the information over here. So this is all about the prediction AI model of AI Builder. Now we completed our third model, and now we will proceed with our fourth custom model, which is category classification AI model. So let me share my screen again with the presentation deck, and let me explain you what is category classification AI model and how it is useful to us in our day-to-day scenario. So let's say for an example, here we can see the text. Categorize the text by its name so it's easier to analyze. Now what category classification AI model will do, let me explain you with a very simple terms. So let's consider any organization's data. The volume of data, volume of text data is increasing day by day. The data can be in any form. It can be in form of emails or social media, documents, feedback, portals, etc. The data carries a useful information about the business, but all the time it's not possible to read each individual information to know what our data mean to say. Meaning, let me just give you some example so you will get an idea like why proper classification of data is very important. So let's say for an example, let's consider an example of one of the hospital's feedback management system. Every day patients are submitting lots of feedbacks, so it's very difficult to understand, to read each individual response and forward it to appropriate department. At that time, this category classification AI model helps us a lot. It saves our lots of time and it's classified the data automatically. Now, just let me give you some examples over here. Let's say for an example, this is the healthcare feedback data. Let's say some of the patient has submitted a feedback like receptionist was friendly and helpful and arranged fracture clinic appointment promptly. So this is the feedback for checking. So you can see that it is marked as checking. So these are some historical data that we need to train in our model, right? So these are some past record on which we are manually process that data and forward it to appropriate department. Like this is the feedback for check-in. So whoever the manager of the check-in department, we are forwarding that email to that particular manager. Now let's say for an example, someone provided a feedback like helpful staff of all the grades. So it is related staff, right? Now the speed at which I was seen incredible. So it is about care and check-in, two different things. So these are some useful information that has been detected in the past. Now what we are going to do is we are loading those past records into our AI model, and based on that we will categorize our data. Now let's see how it will work. So let me move over to our actual demo and let me show you how it will work. So let's say for an example, this is example of one of the feedback system. Now one more thing to consider here. The beauty of this particular category classification AI model is that it supports human language, it supports natural language. So sometimes there is a possibility like I have trained around 1,000 feedbacks in my model, and 1001 feedback is someone which is not part of my model, but still it will detect it tags based on the data that they have observed and we have trained in our model, right? Now let me explain some of the example over here and let me show that to you. Let's say for an example, I'm adding one of the feedback like this. The staff took a lot care as I was suffering from COVID. So this type of feedback is something which I have never trained in my model, because in past there was no COVID. So in my past record, there is no such feedback related to that. But let's see what it will detect here. So I'm just clicking on detect tags. So what it will do is it will trigger my Power Automate and it will call our AI model behind the scene. And it is just detected a tag as care. So this message is about care. Now let's say this was my unstructured data. Now whenever I'm submitting this record, it will store the record into my SharePoint list over here. So let me just submit this record and you can see that form has been submitted, and let me just refresh my list here and you can see that the data has been entered here with its tag. Now this is the basic thing. It detects the tag and enter the data into SharePoint list. Now let me give you an example of some negative feedback. Now every time it is not possible to read each individual thing over here. We could not keep our eyes on our model every time. So let's say if someone submits some negative feedback, like I'm submitting a feedback like very poor management of hospital, I faced lots of issue over here. Now this is the negative information, negative feedback on which the management need to take action very quickly, right? We don't have a time like we can read each individual statement from thousands of feedback every day. So here this model will help us a lot. Here we are using two different things, two different combinations. One is category classification model, which will detect the tag for this particular statement. With that, we will use the sentiment analysis pre-built model. So what it will do is it will find the sentiment of this statement. What would be the sentiment? Like it's positive, it's neutral, or it's negative. It will find from this statement automatically, and that will shoot an email to the particular manager. So now let me show you this live example, and we will also check that email process as well. So now, first of all, I'm detecting the tag to find out which department do I need to consider here. So you can see that this is about care and facility. Now I'm submitting this record to my SharePoint list. So the form has been submitted, and if we refresh the data, we are able to see this particular feedback into our SharePoint list. Now let's me check, open my mailbox for my test account, and let's wait for email to came here. This will take some time. because flow is something which is running behind the scene. It will take around 2 to 3 minutes. And in sent email, we can see that one more email has been received, and most probably I will be receiving the email right now. You can see that 8:42 p.m. This is the latest email that I received, and here the information is mentioned like we have received negative feedback for the below tax, care and facilities. Now what is the feedback? The feedback is the thing that we have entered. So this is how we can promptly take an action on the data that we have submitted with the help of category classification and sentiment analysis. Now there are lots of other use cases as well. Like let's say for an example, we have Twitter account for the organization. We sometime what happen here is someone tweets some negative tweet for our organization. At that time, we can configure Power Automate behind the scene to read the tweet from the account that we configured, and based on the tweet text, it will automatically detect its sentiment, like it's positive, negative, or neutral, and based on that, it will prompt the email notification to appropriate user. So these are the use cases that we can use, and we can achieve the power of AI in Power Apps. Now we have covered our fourth AI model, which was category classification. And now we reach to our final fifth demo and fifth model, which is entity extraction AI model. So let me move over to my presentation deck and let me explain you the use case and scenario for entity extraction AI model. So here you can see that this is my entity extraction AI model. Now we can see the text like recognize the specific information about your business from data. So basically, in which scenario we can use entity extraction AI model? So basically, sometime what happened here is we have received some data in unstructured manner, and we wanted to make those data in a structured manner. We want to structure those data into some list, into some table. At that time, this entity extraction AI model will help us a lot. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say for an example, this is an example of one of the HR data. Now let's say some recruitment agency sent an Skype chat like this, like candidate name is Dhruv. He has 5 years of experience in here. He's living here. His email address is this one, his relationship status, and his birth date. These are the basic information that he has sent. Now, what happened here is if we are not using this HR, this entity extraction AI model, we need to manually parse the useful information from the provided paragraph. But with the help of this model, it will detect all the fields, all the useful information from the provided outcome automatically. Now, let's say for an example, you can see that what are the useful information from this context. So here, the name of the person is important, his experience is important, its position is important, his country information is important, his email address, relationship status, and birth date is something which is important, right? So what we need to do here is basically we need to train our model in such a manner that it will detect the proper entities from the provided information. Here there are lots of out-of-the-box entities which is detected automatically based on our data. We can also create our own custom entities as well. So it will automatically detect those fields over here. One more advantage is that it also supports the natural language processing. So it's not necessary that you need to train each individual designation over here, because it's not something like if I'm providing a training around 100 records, and 101 record is something which is not part of training, but it will still detect its position based on the sentiment and meaning of the statement. Like whenever I'm writing as my experience as this one, which means that it is something related to their position or their expertise level, right? So this type of thing we can achieve with the help of entity extraction AI model. Now let's consider one real life example as we spoke, like recruitment or HR portal, and we will see that with the help of real example. So let me move over to the browser and let's check that particular thing over there. So let's consider this basic application over here. Now as the HR, they have received some feedback over here. Let me show you. Now, let me just enter a text like this. I just entered few information about me. Now, whenever I click on extract entities, what it will do is, it will call our AI model at the backend. Then it will detect the information. So you can see that the detected information is showing over here. So what would be the basic information that has been detected? So you can see that it detected name, designation, duration, country, region, email, relationship status, date, time. And this is one basic HR form. Like on every information, HR need to submit some form. So it pre-populate every information. So HR did not need to fill manual information over here. And when they hit save, this information is stored into the list. Right now here also we provided some form here, because sometime what happened here is, let me just add one of the example like this. Let me just save this record first, and then we will add some another record and check the other information. So let me save this record from here. Now let me just refresh my list, and you can see that that information has been stored to my list. Now I'm again going here. Now let's say I'm adding some record like this. Jeanine is a single mother and she is working as a project manager in one of the leading IT firms from last 15 years in UK. So we only received this information over here. Like it is not all the information. So what entity extraction model will do is, it will detect whatever the information that we found from this particular statement. So you can see that we found the name, relationship status, her designation, experience, and country, region information. Now we do not find birth date and email because it's not been provided over here. But as HR, I just want to add this information so that we are just providing this type of layout to them, so that whatever the information that has been detected that are not the part of the information and they want to add as additional, they can do it here, right? So this was the last demo of this particular webinar. Now let me move over with this my PowerApps home screen, and let me just give you a bit idea that I've given in an introduction part. So we covered all of this AI model over here. Now as a developer, we have a question like how it will work, how we are developing this. So just I'm giving some basic information. Like this AI model is built in such a manner, it provide some basic uh, drag and drop UI. Like whenever we click here, it provide all the examples, some best practices over here, what to follow, what not to follow. All the instruction is being given here. Whenever we create any model and when we click on create and go to next step-by-step procedure, it will give all the instruction over here. So based on that, we need to train our model. Once our model has been trained, it came to this particular section, into model section. We can see all the models that we have trained here. And once our model has been trained, we need to publish this model to PowerApps. So we have the publish option, right? Now, what is the basic feature of this AI builder models? So let's say for an example, more data you will train, you will get more accurate result, because it's all about our historical pattern, historical data, the images that we have trained. It's totally depend on that thing. So gradually we can train our model frequently to get the better outcome and better result for our organization, right? So this is something that we can do here, and this is all about the custom model. So based on our own custom need, we can proceed with our custom application. Now here there are straightforward models. Like let's say we have talked about form processing. So here some receipt processing is also provided. So you can see that it provides very simple UI to us. Here we can upload any receipts, and based on the uploaded receipt, it will detect the information. Then it provided the pre-built actions here, like use in a flow or use in app. So whenever we click on that, it will create some part of our Power Apps, or we can directly consume this model inside our Power Automate to detect the fields. So these are the pre-built model which were already trained and provided with this AI builder suite. right? So based on our need, we can choose whatever the model that we need for our organization. So I think I'm covered almost everything related this AI model. And let me just share my presentation deck again. And now we can move forward with the question and answer. So we have, so you can unmute yourself and ask your question. If you have any question, I would happy to answer your question. And meanwhile, one more thing I want to add here, I will add one link in the chat window right now, which is like, let's say for an example, during the session, if you came across with any confusion or any question, or if you have any feedback for us, so that we can use that our future reference and we can improve our session based on that. So I'm just dropping that link into the chat window, so you can submit your feedback over there as well. So based on your question, we will try to reach out to you and provide the feedback for your question. I just dropped the feedback link in the chat window. Now, if anyone has any question, they can unmute yourself or even type in the chat window. We'll go with the question and answer one by one.
Hey, Dhruv, and thanks so much. This is a great presentation. Question for you. How easy is it to integrate some of this into Power BI?
Okay. So in terms of Power BI, okay. So basically in Power BI, the models are somewhat which is different. This is basically for Power Apps and Power Automate. Like if we consider any Power BI records, they already have some automatic ML machines over here with some Azure services. So in case of Power BI, we need to train our model based on the Azure ML services in the Power Query window.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I just want to add, it's a great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The recording will be available, right?
Yes, a recording will be available and we will share you after the session.
All right. Thank you, sir.
No worries. Thank you so much. Now someone has added a question in the chat window, like what is required license for using AI model in the Power Apps? Okay, so basically we need to purchase additional licensing to use the AI builder, and we will share the official link of Microsoft there, where there has the different licensing models and approaches over there, and based on our needs we can choose the appropriate licensing over there.
I guess, Dhruv, sorry, I got another one. Do you have an idea of how accurate some of those models are in terms of there was the percentage that you had there that was calculated percentage? Do you know how accurate that is, or does Microsoft have any stats on how accurate their models are?
Okay, so to give the answer of your question, so the thing is that here basically during the training process, they have provided some recommendations, like if we consider any form, yeah, so basically it's depend on the business scenario, like let's say for any medical organization, if we want to only detect from two different things, so the minimum recommendation is we need to upload 15 image per object, but we can upload as many of as image we can. So let's say in my case, for flu example, I have normal and flu user. So at that time I uploaded around 75 images to train my model, and based on that, any other image apart from that, those 75 image, it will detect the accurate result over here.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we have received one other question here in the chat window. What languages are supported for following model? Is it only English or any other? Okay, so currently it is supported 6 different languages over here. All right. And one more thing I want to add here, I will also share some reference link in the chat window so that you will get more information about the AI builder as well as the licensing model. So let me just paste those links into the chat window. Okay, and this is the link from where we can also check the availability of this model, because it's different tenant by tenant, as well as some of the capabilities are in preview at this moment. So we can check all the general availability with the provided link over here. And mostly if you want to check like if it is in preview or not, the best way to check that, we just need to go here with the build section. We can just check the name over here, and whatever the model will be in preview, it will mark as preview like this. This category classification receipt processing is something which is in preview, and these are the models which are generally available at this moment.
And thank you, Dhruv. Thank you so much for taking us through the real life use cases to see how AI in Power Apps can help to make our life efficient. It was indeed a great presentation, Dhruv. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
We hereby conclude this webinar. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us and making this event a great success. We do have a recording of this session, which will be available on our YouTube channel. In case any of you need any further assistance, then please drop us an email on info@binaryrepublic.com. Thank you, stay safe, and wish you a happy weekend.